Hello everybody, welcome back to my channel. My name is King. If you are new here, hello. Thank you for coming into this wonderful alien space where I talk about everything I'm interested in. I really have no um localization. I go everywhere, on this channel. And for those that are returning, thank you for checking me out again. I appreciate your presence here. And the first thing I want to talk about is she's here. She's here. Oh, I took pictures of the bag. I took pictures of her. It's complete. Oh my god. I completed it finally on Sunday evening. And although I have some things that I kind of um would have done better again, but overall I feel a sense of pride. I feel a sense of accomplishment, like, oh, I did this. I had a vision and my vision came to life, and I'm so proud of myself. It's so cookie, the colors are so, you know very wild. Wild, and at some point they kind of cohese together, but this yellow is totally off, which I really appreciate. Everything about it I appreciate. I just felt so proud of myself. I kept looking at it like, oh, I completed this bag, I completed this bag. I was like, oh, why don't I start another project? But I didn't start in there. I started it yesterday, that was a Monday. And I started this, I found another pattern I thought I could try out, which was like a card, kind of like a crocheted envelope holder or a crochet card holder, like a kind of lovely creation. You can put a greeting card inside. If you want to give somebody, you can give somebody the overall project and all of that. But I don't have anybody I'm gifting it to, so I just wanted to make it to see if I could. And I already began the body. I made the heart, but the heart is so tiny, and I made it in this color, so I wanted them to contrast prettily enough. I could have done this with the body and that with the heart. Whatever. Wherever my brain goes, that's where I go. So anyways, today's video, first thing I want to do is put on this mask, and then I'll crochet, you know continue. I feel as if I can multitask, but when it comes to speaking, actually narrating things that I want to talk about, I don't think I can, but I'm going to try today. So this mask, I bought it a while ago. Last time I went to the market, and tomato, whatever. The first one I used was coffee. It wasn't really, smelled faintly of coffee, scent, and the feeling of it after a while was very not nice. So I'm putting this on so that I'm going to wash it off later. You get? I just like the way masks just generally feel like it freshes up my face. But after, when I remove it, there's this stickiness, and I don't know, my face begins to shine and start releasing a lot of oil, and I don't like it at all. I'm going to use this. And again, this mask is pretty cheap. I got it at a random beauty supply shop. So I was not really expecting entirely FDA approved product. At least it's not burning up my face. It's not. I don't have a harsh reaction. I didn't have a harsh reaction the last time I used it, so I think I can just cope with it. It's very good. Oh, the water. Anyways, today I wanted to speak about this movie that I saw, written and directed by David Cronenberg. That name is very familiar if you are just like a movie enjoyer, or if you are a particular kind of cinephile. Cinephile is somebody that loves movies, yeah. So, but me, I wouldn't consider myself a cinephile. Like, I feel like movies just come to me, you know, by happenstance, and then I'm like, oh, let me give this movie a watch. And when I give it a watch, something that impacts my brain for a very long time. So many movies I've seen like that. Like one time there was this case, this PDD trial that is going on. Cameras are not allowed within the courtroom. So, but there's a YouTuber that goes with her notes, and she makes TikToks after or in between breaks about her experience. Not really her experience, but she just to make her way, like spend a day with me, covering PDD's case or something like that. I don't think that's exactly what she said. Hmm. The smell of this one, the fragrance of this one is much better. Oh my god. This is way better than the coffee ground. Wow. And it feels so refreshing, bros. It feels so fucking refreshing. Oh my god. So anyways, people were critiquing her, the seriousness of Didi's trial. Like Didi's trial is not something to laugh about, yeah. But on the other hand, the other people were like, she's just, covering it. That's what she does. True crime and just crimes against women. She covers a lot of that on her channel. So there's also something to be said, like if she had come out and she had been all solemn, like she was doing something so serious, I don't know, it would have come off a bit pretentious because it's not as if she's a certified journalist, do you get, and she's doing it for her freaking channel. So it's not as if like, so her benign approach towards it, I don't think it was a tell on what she was hearing there. Like anybody will be horrified by that shit, but that's the point that's what I'm going to. Like I'm not defending this YouTuber or I'm not on the side of the critics. I'm just saying, where me I was let down to. Somebody was not like in the comment or in the somebody retweeted it and they were like, so movie by so director always like encapsulated this whole situation. And I was like, this is a situation about a YouTuber going to cover a real crime, a true crime, basically how they call it. A true crime event, and they are taking a sort of glee in it. I don't know. That's how it looked, in the video, the TikTok. So I was like, what sort of movie could be as niche as this kind of moment in human existence? Forgotten the name of the movie, but if you remember the name of the movie, if you remember the movie, if I remember, I'll put it up. It was this movie where a model, really pretty known around, all of a sudden she got interested in a crime that was being covered by the city. This man was accused of killing girls in his neighborhood, little children, and filming it and posting it on the internet for like money. Like he would film himself like literally killing these girls, horrifying stuff, yeah, and then he would post it on a specific black, like dark web link, and people that pay serious money, I'm talking bitcoins worth millions and millions of dollars, would pay him to have those videos in their possession, or to have souvenirs. Like what you mean, like it's disgusting to even process, but they'll pay him to have like souvenirs of the crime. Like the guy would give somebody some he, I think one time this woman, this model, she even bought the girl's teeth, her dentition. And how people identify, how the police, how forensics identify bodies that are not, that have been completely destroyed by their assailant or the murderer, is by their teeth, their dental records. He sent the teeth to somebody and she ended up in possession of the teeth at some point. She bought it off of that market. So the point of the movie went in such a, I don't know if I should I talk about the movie? The movie is like this model. It was at first, when it started, we were watching her as if she was just a curious creature, curious person just going to see, check out the case. And then she got entangled with one of his defenders. Like there was somebody that was like, like she didn't know this guy. There's somebody else she met, another woman she met. This person was coming from a whole different city to, I think the place was in Toronto or Montreal. She was coming from Montreal to this place, Toronto. And it's a distance away. I don't know how that country is, but it's fucking big and fucking far away. So the lady came to sit in the court, and after the court proceedings, she would come out and speak to reporters with her full chest in front of all the cameras that this guy is innocent, that the media is just trying to punish a scapegoat. That what is the proof he did it? He's so innocent. He's so this, But this other model, the main character of the story, she would just observe this person from the side, okay? And eventually both of them got entangled. That one, the model, like you keep on watching it as if she when you watch her in the story, she acts a bit detached, from the whole case, but she was always showing up to every trial, every hearing. I mean, she was always showing up to every hearing early. They would literally come to a line that was waiting to get into the court, because it's limited spaces. They would line up, they would sleep like maybe around 6 in the morning. Both of them would wake up around 6, and they would go to the courtroom to wait for the doors, the entire court to open, before they enter that specific courtroom for this guy, this murderer. Watching it, and it was so, my brain was just like expanding, like what the hell am I watching? You get, because the model seems a bit removed. But after some point, even the person that was his staunch defender, somehow the model, she has she's this kind of tech guru, where she has her own AI that is not linked to any public server, that is linked to a very private network, and that is not like Google Gemini or those trashy AIs, so she can customize it, she can like protect it from hackers in a very specific code. Like, she's that brainy, you get. And she's somebody that approaches life as if you want to succeed, it's just a matter of um knowing when to cross your dot your eyes and cross your t's, like as if it's something very clinical. She approaches life so clinically, as if she's interested, like success is just a matter of being very calculating, noticing when to fold and when to play your cards. And this is specific because she's a gambler. She gambles on a specific site that nobody's aware of, but she gambles there with bitcoins, and most of the time she wins because she doesn't overplay her hand. So that's how she approaches life. So she tells this other lady with her that it's nothing to really stress about, but somehow they get close, they become friends. This specific lady that is a staunch supporter of the criminal, she was even she even had the guts to call into a live television recording to defend this man. And people were like that. I think you should go for a mental evaluation, because when you are speaking, you speak like somebody like, what do you know about this guy to say he's innocent? And she's like, what do you know about him to say he's not innocent? And they're like, the pictures, because the I think there was evidence somehow of him in a video, this same video we're talking about, another video, like he was seen with a mask covering his face, but his features are so peculiar. He looks like this wizened out old lizard, and so it's so specific. It looks exactly like him. The mask did not do anything to shield him from that characteristic. But the trial was going on because the evidence was not so definitive. It was about convincing the jury now to convict him. There was nothing to really nail him except that thing, his head and everything was showing, but it wasn't too big enough. And the prosecution was really putting their best foot for, really pleading for the case of the victims, and trying to convince the jury to nail him to life imprisonment or something like that. So like, you people don't know anything. And then after the call, she cut it off and she was crying and crying, and then the other model was just there, kind of detached but hugging and everything. From a detached curiosity, this model progressed into some kind of frenzy, some kind of madness. And there was something that showed up in her there was something that I think the camera caught her some one day, and she's a very popular magazine editorial model, yeah, and her agency is fairly popular. So they saw her one day going to the court, like the cameras caught her, and her agent called her like, hey, I think you should like take a break, maybe you should take a break, because it's kind of weird seeing you in court, with this person or something like that. And she was like, no, I'm okay to work, there's nothing wrong with me. That so-called staunch supporter of his, one day the model looked at her and told her that he actually did it though. And she was like, but how do you know? She now said, because I've seen the video. Because the video that they had of him, that one that has the match, she already had it though. That one's an old video. It's even what led to his arrest. So she already had it, she had it since, but we did not know until that moment she was talking to that staunch supporter. And this was, I was like, what do you mean? And the lady was like, well, I have the video if you want to watch, but it's gory stuff. She was like, she'll watch it. And then this model put in the video for this lady to watch. And by the time this girl was watching, this lady was done watching it. Somebody that decided to backpack and sleep on the streets to visit his hearing every day till he was acquitted. She, after watching the video, there was no doubt in her mind that he did it. So she just quietly packed her bag, quietly packed her things, and she left the model. I went back to her state. She and the model, they had already bonded, they had already become besties, in that sense. To the extent where they played squash together, and the model was telling her about how she uses it to regulate her emotions, deep stuff. And that one was feeling very supported, like I have a friend. But after watching that video, she was the one that was all vocal that this guy did not do, even though she didn't have any real proof. But this one that had proof and was still going to the court, you know, it's kind of, and she didn't say anything to her from the first day, the first moment they met till now. She didn't say anything. It's kind of, I think that lady felt like she was in the midst or in the company of somebody that was very dangerous, like it was kind of sociopathic, if you consider it from her view. She thought she was like bonding with a random person that, probably just wanted to be friends with her, as somebody that probably didn't have any real evidence to, and was just like her, on the brink of knowing and not knowing, not realizing that this person already have all the evidence, and she's still going to the court every day, and she's still watching this man with a devotion that is very peculiar. You get, when she was not eventually leaving this girl, she even gave, when she was leaving the model, she even gave her back the tennis racket, the squash racket that she gave her. She was like, take, I don't need it. The girl was like, take, I give it to you now. The model was like, take, I give it to you now. You can see she had really bought into the connection. This is someone that was very detached from this lady in the beginning. She kind of saw her like a bit of a disturbance, like she just had to help her, because who will just let someone sleep on the streets in cold Toronto, or cold Montreal, that would be unfair. Like Canadian winters are merciless, so she just like, okay, come and stay with me. So that's how they got really close. But this girl was like rejecting everything, and the mother was just like, lost in that moment, and she was just like, take it now, I give it to you. She was like, no, I don't want that. You don't have to follow me to the train station either. They walked away to the courthouse, and she was like, she's going. She packed her backpack and she was going. And the mother was just looking at her like this, and then she was like, how can you keep, like, I know why I was attending his trial. I know, and I see now that I was like misguided or something. But you, why are you attending his trial? Or why have you been attending his trial? And the mother could not give an answer. And she just silently turned away and she disappeared from her life forever. That thing really affected this model so bad that, she said she's this coach to regulate her emotions. She now went to her squash practice and she was so wild, like on the court, but it was not enough. Obviously, when you lose a friend that you didn't expect, like an unexpected friend, and the friend becomes something that, somebody that something important to you in so short a time, no matter what, your heart break. And this lady did not, like, she did not know how to handle it. She has always been alone, her friend was her friend was literally her AI assistant. You get, a customized AI assistant that if you listen to it for so many times, after I begin to convince yourself that it's a real human being, yeah. But it was not enough. She even tried to do what they used to do together. Like the girl spoke to the AI about herself, and she was like, this is so person, tell me a joke. And the AI actually told her a joke. This is something that the mother has never tried before. And it was so fascinating to her, the mother, that her AI could tell jokes. You get, so she went back to the house and the AI has already been programmed to be telling jokes. She cancelled that, she raised the joke program, or the joke scheduling and all of that, because she was just heartbroken and all of that. So now that she was by herself and alone, you get, and not just alone, the friend reflected it back to her that, hey, what you're doing is actually insane. Yeah, I think you should check yourself. You understand? Coming from someone that was screaming at the cameras that this man was like guilty or whatever the fuck, she now, like, that is a very harsh, like, reality check. I think it was a harsh reality check for her. And then she eventually, like, she just lost her mind. You know what this lady now did after her friend, this model did after her friend left? She started She went full on insane. She was even much more insane than this person that left their own state to come to another state to sleep on the streets to defend a criminal. She went on that snuff site. She bought these dead girls' clothes. Those children, 13-year-old kids, like coming back from school, their uniform. This guy still had this, and he sold it. He put it for sale. So he's earning money even while he's on trial. Like, he's a millionaire more or less, selling the people, these murder victims, clothes. So he sold it, and she bought it. She got her hands on it. She got her hands on the girl's uniform, on her braces. Her braces, you see, her braces are Invisalign. She got her hands on them. She now bought a wig, because it seemed like the guy used to target children that had blonde hair, and hers is brunette. So she got a wig, wore the wig like a child, and then went to the court. She did not wear it at first. She covered herself, covered. She wore the wig was on her head, but she wore this big ass jacket to cover everything. And she did not. She uses contacts, so she doesn't have teeth issues. But when the trial started, because throughout the trial, the man never looked once to the audience, like to the gallery, like to the galleys, as how they call it, to the galley. He only looked down. He didn't even respond to, except they were directly questioning him. He didn't respond to anything that was going on in the court. He stood like, he sat there as if he was catatonic, as if nothing around him was moving him. Like, he was not moved by the future that awaited him. He was not moved by the severity of the retelling of his crimes. He was not moved by anything throughout the trial. But this woman, throughout the model, you could see her, like, looking at him, only him. She didn't even listen herself to what was going on. She was always looking at this criminal. And then that day, she was like, she was going to get his attention. So when she got to the courthouse, by the time the court proceedings had started, she now removed her jacket, she wore the braces, she put on the glasses, she set the wig, and then the school uniform of the girl that passed, and the mother was literally in front on the what do they call it, on the prosecutor's seat. Yeah, around this model, people were beginning to like whisper. Before you know, the mother now like turned around. There was like commotion, and she turned around and she saw this model, but the model was not looking at anybody. She was focused on the man, and then the man looked up finally, and he stared at her, and she was smiling, and it was insane. And the mother was screaming her heart out, crying, like you could hear her losing her voice. Like, she was crying and screaming. These are things that police have not even gotten their hands on, you get. But they wouldn't, I don't think they would think it was the real, like, uniform of the child. Yeah, they would think it was something she just bought off like a marketplace or something. And the guy looked at her, the criminal looked at her, and he was smiling at her, and she was smiling as well. And then she was roughly escorted out of the court to a sea of cameras and microphone. Before she got home, she had calls from her agency, she had calls from the magazine she had worked for. All of them, they decided to drop her. They're like, I think there's something wrong with you, I think this is disgusting, all of that. She didn't care. She was just like, by then, like I said, she had lost all rational thought, and reality was very far from her at this point. She was obsessed, and I don't think she was obsessed with justice. I don't think she was obsessed with wanting a resolution. I don't think she really she didn't. I don't think she believed this man was innocent. Obviously, she had seen the video, she knew he was the killer. But, like, what do you call a state of mind where you're obsessed with somebody like that, with a situation like this, that your life has become centered, that the center of your existence now is following up and connecting with a murderer at any cost? Like, what do you call that kind of behavior? Yeah, she's obsessed. She's in a frenzy now. Like, this is someone that starts her day very methodical, very clinical. She gambles clinically. She never steps out. She eats what she wants to eat. She has a routine of exercise. She has a routine of work, going home to go to work, come back, all of that. But look at when she wakes up now, she sits on the side for hours, looking for wanting that last piece of evidence, the video of the final girl, the last two girls. They are prosecuting it for one. They saw one, but the other two would be the final nail. The other two, evidence of the other two girls would be the final nail like in his coffin, the definitive nail on his coffin. They were not the police and the lawyers were not prosecution were not in possession of any of that evidence, so they were working on just this one case. So, and also remember that the families of the other children were also in court too, horrified, watching, saddened, in grief, serious grief and mourning. But they just could their own cases were not presented, their own cases were not, like put to light, even though we just know that they just knew that those girls were missing. They didn't find their bodies, nothing of them. This model now, she's in a frenzy, she has lost her mind. But I don't think she's aware that she has lost her mind. I don't think she's aware that what she's doing is far from reality. The last bus stop of reality check she had was that friend leaving her and asking her why she was attending his hearings. That was the last check. And this is someone that is very isolated. She's by herself. She doesn't have any real friends. She doesn't have any connection to society. She's lost in her own bubble of work, life, and money. You get an AI assistant. So who else is going to give her who else was going to give her who else was it on, who else would bear the burden of waking her like shaking her awake from this delusion that she had sunk into. Society was not helping, because society is replete with sites like the dark web, where you can go and flourish and connect with weirdos that are interested, with creeps, with psychopaths, with sociopaths that are interested in things like this. And then there's also the aspect of money, economy. Making money off of this kind of thing is also a very good it's also a very good excuse for these people to perpetrate nonsense and rubbish and inhumane acts like that. So anyways, you know that this model tracks the mother whose daughter's case is on trial to her house. She tracks her down, finds her address, which is also another part that is very scary. She tracks her down, which is also an observation I think the movie was trying to let us see. She tracks her down to her house, goes into her house, walks around, and comes back out. And then finally, like the reason I feel like there was this point of no return she got to, the point where she said, like, she didn't say anything. Do you know that all of this she's not talking? We are just getting it from her behaviors. But the movie is so freaking well shot that you can tell that she was at the point of no return. This model, she was at the point of no return, and she was ready to go all out. Go all out in the sense of finding that last video, that final video that would show this man off for what it really was to the prosecution and to the states, to the whole country. It was insane to tell. It was a televised, like, it was not televised, but like people, the media was like chewing on this case has been chewing on this case since it began. You get, so it has a lot of publicity. You get. So anyways, she goes to this dark web, and she's on this very tightrope of trying to buy. No, it was an auction. There was a bidding process, and she was on this bidding. She now undertook this bidding war to get this final video. And eventually this woman spent all of her bitcoins. It was a very tight race. She spent 25 bitcoins. I don't know how much that is in Canadian dollars, but she spent, I'm guessing it was a lot, because she was sweating, she was vibrating on her seat as she had this. This is something she had never done in her life before. She had constantly reiterated to her friend that everything in life, you have to be careful, you have to calculate, know when to drop your hand. This one, she was overplaying her hand. It was intense, and she decided, no, fuck it, she was going to do it. And it wasn't just like this, fuck it was something that her mind had already made up. Her mind was already made up about it, and she was putting everything she knew on her line. She had lost all her jobs, all her contacts, everything. So it was not a joke to her. It was serious business. But it was borderline it's not even borderline. It was purely insane serious business. You get, not every serious business It's logical. She was insane. Eventually, her money was high enough to be nobody else could reach her bidding point, her bidding amount, 25 BTC, and she got the tapes and they delivered it to her in a very sketchy way. Putting her whole somebody that hid her AI, customized it, made it unhackable. All her in digital footprint is backed by some kind of firewall, but she had to open it up to sketchy people on the internet so that she could get those braces, the teeth, the glasses, so that she could get this freaking videotape. So at this point, as she has finally come completely unraveled, what do you think she was going to do with the video? Well, she watched the video. She watched the video, she digested the video, and then at night or in the very early hours of the morning, the prosecution was really looking for that final evidence for the three girls, else he was going to get a very, like, an undeserving number of years as the sentence. So the prosecution was looking really for. So do you know this woman did? This model did. She went to this mother's house, the mother of the victim that they found evidence for, that was on trial, that her own daughter's case was on trial. She went to her house, sat in the girl's bed, the daughter's bed, the late child's bed, lay there, and then put the flash drive here that had the video, plug connected it to their laptop and played it, and then she left the house the same way she came in, through the front door. She hacked their system, got the email address of the security company that controlled the family's password, the family's lock system, got the password from it, used it to access the house. Like, it was so crazy. But after watching the movie, it was like, so let's remember that this is about I watched this movie in context of somebody that said she was covering the PDD case. The PDD case is one of the most gory, I'm not saying it's the most gory, but it's one of the most gory cases going on right now, uncovering all of the harm that one man caused because of his access to money, wealth, fame, and all of that. And how a woman, was tortured incessantly for years just because she was married to him. So, like, it's gory, it's disgusting to process. And for her to sit through this YouTuber, for her to sit through hearing all of that, and then come out and make this cutesy TikTok of eating a sandwich while waiting for the trial and all of that, it feels kind of it feels kind of it feels like there's a level of detachment, and that level of detachment is no longer connected to reality. The movie, that person suggested this movie, mentioned this movie that I just finished narrating, as kind of like a mirror to the situation of how people, in general, make careers, make money, and make a life for themselves out of covering true crime cases. And you say true crime, it's like as if it's this funny, like, no, it's not funny. When you say true crime, it's like content. You just think content. You don't think situations where people have lost their lives, situations where families never ever recover from this sort of loss and grief, you know and like, most of the time when I hear people critique true crime coverage and all of that, I used to be a bit detached as well, because on the side of the victims and on the side of the coverers, it's just like, well, that is disgusting. But for a while I watched true crime content from one particular guy like that. And when I was watching it, I don't know, I used to watch it while I did very repetitive crochet patterns. Speaking of crochet, you see that I did not start my crochet at all. So I used to watch while doing, like, making repetitive crochet patterns, and I would listening to it for hours. But I I can't say that listening to it edified me. Listening to it just made me feel worse. I don't, even if most of the crime cases, it usually ended up in this, because the ones they used to cover was the ones where they succeeded at, capturing the criminals and all of that. But still, just the storyline of how this person ended up being murdered, being, killed in disgusting, horrifying ways, losing their life at the last moment, it was always tragic. And I don't think that is something like people should listen to for periods on end, for long periods on end. It's not something you should listen to when, I feel personally, it's not something that you should listen to when, you want to pass the time, because those things enter your brain. Those sadness, the sadness of the family, the sadness of the victim themselves, and even the sadness of the retailers, because like just a listener, I was deeply affected. I never ever 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 turned into any true crime thing again. Like I watched that thing because, and if I look back on that period of my life, I was very depressed. I was very depressed in a very bad way. I was lonely. I was by myself in a different part of the country, far from my family, and I didn't even realize how depressed I was. I wasn't even aware of how depressed I was. I thought I was just living life. Almost, it was bad for me. So, of course, I gravitated towards like content like that, stuff like that. But one day, after one particular story, and it was not any story that stopped me. I just, after one particular story, one day like this, I just, when the retelling ended, when the video ended, I was just like, okay, okay. So then the next time I wanted to do something, pass the time again, I just felt like I felt repulsed by the idea of watching it. I felt repelled, and I'd watched tons of his content already. So it was just like, no, 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 I can't do this. I can't. Like, and it wasn't a conscious decision. It wasn't a conscious retelling. I just found myself not going there. I found myself not seeking it out. Do you get? I was like, no, before that it would have been so easy to just, I have access to the story. But I was like, no, 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 I'm okay. I just, and it wasn't conscious. So what my point is like making, feeling the need to make a TikTok. Like I said, nothing serious is going on, but feeling the need to make a TikTok, um, to tell people that you are eating a sandwich and preparing to go back in. Like it just feels too blasé for the context of where you are in. Do you get it? It feels too blasé for the context where you are operating within. You get, these are real people that have been hurt. This is a real animal. I don't think we should call these people animal, because I don't think animals go to this level of depravity. We just call people animals because we think, okay, a lion eating another animal, is, what is in its conscious that's going on. Like, no, animals are not subject to the same rules that human beings subject themselves to. So I don't think we should call them animals. I think we should just call them what they are, just um monsters, just disgusting human beings too. So anyways, like those are real people all overall, real issues. It's not the story you're telling of something that happened in the past. This is something that's happened, going on right now, and nobody needs to see TikTok of you eating sandwich. Nobody needs, like, it just feels like it was unnecessary. Like it's not harming, it's not harmful, but it's not also unharmful. It's not harmful, it's just kind of, it just makes it feel like what you are doing is just another day at the office, you know and even police officers, medical doctors, people that deal with human life, EMS, operator like 911 operators, emergency service people, they can't keep attaching real depth of their emotions to the things that are doing. If not, it will suck the life out of them. So they have to maintain a level of detachment because they are dealing with life. But you, as somebody that is relating it in the form of audio storytelling, in the form of just narration, it's just what if you add another level of detachment to it, you just make yourself out to be something of, or you make the case out to be like a caricature. Like it ends up feeling like somebody is, it just feels empty. It feels empty, and your own job here is just to narrate. So if your narration now still does not have any level of depth to it, it's still your presentation of it, your whatever of it, it just feels too uncanny, like you're pretending to be human but you're not actually human, you know like you are performing humanity by narrating the story. It just feels like that to me. And I don't have access to this person's like internal life, their daily life, how they process finding new cases to tell on their true crime, narration or content. I don't have access to their personal life, how they cope with what they see, what they read, what they hear, how they cope with witness accounts, videos, audios, pictures, all of it. I don't have a way of knowing how they process it. But I think um thinking more of your audience first, because you wouldn't do this if, oh, I don't know if you would do this, it depends on your interest. But thinking more of your putting your audience first, put your audience first in your true crime narration kind of makes it a shell, makes make real people's horrifying realities look like nothing more than content, a like this. I don't know, it's just imagine you're close to somebody that went through something, or you are somebody at the family, at the yeah the I don't know, it just feels so, that whole TikTok in retrospect now, like after having watched the movie and thinking about it, it's just like a commentary. The movie is just a commentary on how, like, okay, this woman now, she gave the video to the family members. Why did she give the video to the family members? What were her motivations for seeking out the attention of this criminal? Why did she hack the family security system, the bereaved family security system, just to have access to the child's bed? What does that do for her? What does that do for her? What would that, like, there was nothing, there was nothing worthwhile as far as she was concerned, the mother was concerned, to getting deeply involved in this case. So she got the videos that ended up being evidence, to lock this guy away forever and ever. But what about her own soul? How did she get to that point? What is the shape of her soul now? What's the shape of her personality? What's the shape of her character? What's the shape of her humanity? What does her humanity look like now that she has gotten to this point of the videos? Because she watched those videos, she has always known that this guy was a killer. So, when people follow true crime up and they're like, sometimes true crime helps people to solve the cases that police could not even solve. Yes, you have a faulty just yes, there's a faulty justice system all over the world, yeah. Um, but along the line, you know, I don't know. It's just so torture. This is not even what I want to talk about. This is not what I'm talking about. This is not even like I was just reflecting on movies, and how me I come upon movies you get, and it's by real world events, like things that happen. People make a comment, and somebody has already depicted it in a movie, to send a message across, a kind of like full scale commentary, full scale perspective over the whole situation. Like if you are looking at it now, you're looking at the side of the family of the victims, and you're looking at the side of the justice system, and now looking at the side of a true crime enthusiast, because that's what they are. They're not even commentators, they're just enthusiasts. There's no way you're not enthusiastic about these things that you cover, you know. And it's not as if, oh, maybe your brain is wired towards it for whatever reason, there's no judgment there. But your enthusiasm comes at a cost. It cannot come without critique, because other people, not everyone else is as enthusiastic as you are, or some people lose their enthusiasm, and and then there are some cases where people exploit, so many cases of people exploiting their audience. These true crime um podcasters or content creators, they exploit their audience for money. There's also the money aspect of it you get. But like either way, you are either any spectrum you land on as a true crime enjoyer, at the end of the day you have to be open to critique. You have to be open to, I don't know if she responded to the critique, but a lot of her fans were in the comment talking about how she's very respectful towards the family, how she's this, how she's that, and it's something that she does. It's not even about, say, this is just how she is as a person. And it's like, even if this is how you are as a person, are you telling me that the cases you cover don't change you in some way, that you are affected by real people's, torture, real people's horror, real people's horrifying realities? Then that says a lot about you as a person, because like, what reserves of humanity are you drawing upon to subsist on this type of content that you make to to basically have a living? Like, it's just a lot. It's a lot of angles to cover, because at the end of the day, this lady now, rightfully so, the model, she lost her gigs. She was pulled from so many editorials. She wasn't going to get checks anymore. Her agency dropped her. Consequences of your enthusiasm. But in this day and age of YouTube and all of that, YouTube is not going to be a constant. YouTube rewards stuff like this. Okay, YouTube is not going to drop you from the platform for covering true crime cases. Okay, and even if they don't monetize some of your videos, your audience are there to support your Patreon, to watch your videos, to play your ads, stuff like that. So it's a very messy tangle of reality we have to consider going forward. Especially with this AI, the advent of AI, and more and more tech billionaires pumping money into human beings, not being connected with their humanity anymore. That human beings should lose their humanity. Human beings should not connect with aspects of themselves. Human beings should become robots, in essence, that subsist on faulty, natural resource depleting, inefficient AI models. Like, so people should leave the ability to cope, to live and adjust with the limitations of being a human, and accept the limitations of another system outside of themselves, and forget their own, that they are capable of doing things by themselves, or being things in their own self by their own self. Like, I don't know if you get it, Sha, but so something to be said about is this YouTuber going there as a spectator, just like the model, or is she going there out of a feeling of detached curiosity, and like, oh, this is the way. Even detached curiosity can lead one down this whole rabbit hole of madness, frenzy, and loss of a sense of reality entirely. You get, so like people saying she was going there to just cover the case, whatever. And it's like, yeah, she has a platform that she does cover cases like that, but then we also have to acknowledge that this is a human being, and human beings are very unpredictable in their motivations, in their intentions for why they do the things they do. So like, we cannot say what goes on in her head, when she decides to cover gory cases like this, or when she decides to sit in on a trial that literally has not much to do with her, per se. But most people that are also at the trial too don't have, like, they might not have anything to do with PDD himself or Cassie or any of the victims. But like, it's like there is a chance that her motivation may not be what it seems, and um there's a chance that she herself might not even be self-aware of how it looks, you know like, what is the community that she's consulting with, what is the community that she connects with, to adjust to a life of being at the center of a gory case like this. You get, like, the model started visiting the courtroom. For whatever reasons, we are not made known, we're not made aware of her motivations at first, until we see that she has seen a video much later in the movie of the criminal. But along the way, she devolves into this frenzy of attention, as if the attention from the criminal justice system, the attention from the grieving parents, the attention from the criminal himself was her reason to keep on living. Because she didn't care about her work anymore. She didn't care about how she presented to the rest of society anymore. All she sought out was attention, you know. And since she's not posting it online, she doesn't have a platform where she posts true crime content. That attention is just self-serving. You get, but at the end of the day, this YouTuber want attention as well. And when people talk about wanting attention, people can be like, oh, wanting attention means you are self-absorbed, you are vain, or something sinister, something not magnanimous. You get, like, as if attention is very selfish. You get, but like, selfishness can be neutral. You get, selfishness might not be attached to a polarity of bad. Do you get, people would not call selfish behavior or selfish actions as good, but I wouldn't call it bad either. I just want it to be made clear that it is selfish. Do you get? And I'm not concluding in any way, that this person was selfish, but her actions, do you get, are leaning towards that. Do you understand? The selfishness is showing up in the desire for the attention on herself. You get, the TikTok was unnecessary. TikTok was unnecessary. The same way, I don't want to equate it here, but like, it kind of pulls on the way the model felt the need to dress up like a little girl just to get the attention of the criminal. You get, and it's like, oh, I'm having a moist sandwich, on my break between covering this case. And it's like, why do people need to know that you are having a moist sandwich as you are covering this case? What does that do? And it's not to the YouTube platform where the video is going to be posted, it's to another different social media platform that runs on attention, that pays you for your ability to draw people's focus towards you. In that moment that you are focusing on, you are drawing people's attention towards you eating a sandwich, a moist sandwich. Um, what the point of your being there at all is lost to your audience. You are the center now of the case as far as the audience is concerned. You are the center of the case. You are the beginning and the end all of the case as far as your audience is concerned. Do you understand? So um I feel like that's one aspect of, the parallels that this person, like the person that posted the movie, or just even watching the movie at all, the kind of parallels you can pull between her being there and the movie. Like, I don't know, like it's just a parallel that you can pay attention to. That's just my 2 cents about the whole situation. Like, that's it feels like my video went out of my control. Oh my god, look at my face, it's really so shiny, so whatever. So thank you for watching my video. I wanted to crochet while I was speaking here, but as usual, it got out of hand. So thank you for watching my video. Thank you for being here. Tell me your thoughts on. I know we've beaten on YouTube. We've beaten this whole critique of true crime content like a dead horse, but I feel like we should not stop, conversing about things that concern the shape of our humanity. You know, everybody is connected to everybody, and one person's depravity is going to lead to consequences that are going to affect the other human beings that live around them. And I feel like the more we speak about it, the more we can call ourselves to order. That's just my own listen. I'm not calling anybody to order in this video, but I'm just calling like the whole, that whole aspect of making videos, and I like movies as well. So I feel like movies are a good way to interact with society. If you remember, I think I'm going to put the name of the movie, but throughout I didn't say the name of the movie, I didn't say the name of the model, nothing. Just talking about the case. I hope it was comprehensive. I hope you were able to understand something from it. Either way, thank you for being here, and I'll see you in the next video. Bye bye.